Good evening, YouTube. It's the Ian and Jane show as usual. Well, I suppose it is as usual now.
Yeah.
Everything So anyway, we are. If you've not seen us before, hello. Where have you been? No, I'm joking. We're doing the Edinburgh Fringe, and we are here as reviewers. So This was the second show of today. Today's day 3, our day 3, and this was read the effing manual. Do you want to read the...
It's physical theatre immersive. In the heart of chaos and conflict, a couple embark on a seemingly ordinary task, assembling an IKEA wardrobe. With immersive sound and audience engagement, RTFM explores human resilience in the face of adversity.
Now, I thought this was... I don't think we're not giving anyway. As we came in, they were bringing the flat-packed wardrobe in, which I thought was quite funny actually.
Which actually caught me out.
Yeah,
because I remember thinking, they've chosen a bad time to bring something down the stairs when we're all coming up the stairs. And then, of course, the penny dropped. Yeah. That it's part of the show. Yeah, it's part of the show, and they brought it in, and they got there's quite. It's worth mentioning. There's an awful lot of audience participation in a non-threatening way. I mean, they asked people to help with bringing some extra pieces in. A couple of guys went out to help, and they made it look like it was heavier than it really was. But it's fundamentally it's IKEA. They are building a wardrobe in 50 minutes, and that part of it is hilarious.
It is, because...
it just, an awful lot of the population
have been there. What was really interesting was, I've forgotten the name of the actor. It's David and Olivia. Olivia would empty the bag with all the screws and all the bits and would hand in bits to certain people to look after, and every time she would say, "Have you ever put a wardrobe together?" And everybody, she didn't offer it to me, but everybody said no.
Which, to be quite honest, I was very surprised at that. I find that hard to believe.
I think the reality there was they didn't want to get up and be and have to help any more than they did.
They just, by exaggerating, by getting people to hold the individual screws and all the bits that you need, it just emphasised the total, hilarity around, sort of trying to find somewhere to lean it, get it out of the box, and all of that, and losing bits and or you name it. So all of that was very funny.
We then had a much darker side, because he does talk about there's a voiceover and about war. Now, to me, it seemed like a futuristic war. I know you said it didn't feel like that.
I found it. It was a very loud. It was meant to be loud. It was like a radio report of a war that had just broken out. People had been kidnapped. There was mention of guns. It was very vivid, very real. They talked about people burning down a house to get the people out. That's the amount. That's how vivid it was. So I have to say, maybe I was being completely oversensitive to it, but it automatically made me think of the Gaza and, how that had happened, what's going on in Ukraine, what's happening all over the world. I just found it quite such, 1 minute we're laughing at putting together an IKEA wardrobe, and then suddenly you're hit with this, what we have to say is reality, what is happening in the world. Now, I quite take on board that I may have been incredibly oversensitive to it, but that was how I felt. And also it made me feel uncomfortable, because I couldn't understand the juxtaposition between, the one and the other. And obviously, and they kept coming back. There was another section where we had another big war report again. And then also, and we don't want to, but there's a lot of raw emotion from the couple, which, they're a couple is there a problem with their relationship? Don't know.
We don't actually know
No.
exactly, or
But,
is it? Yeah.
but there are things said that maybe point to that. You know, and then also, you know, there are things happen which we won't describe that make you think, you know, has something even worse happened in their lives? And I just, it wasn't so much that as opposed to the war that and I'm not saying that they, you know, ridiculed, they didn't.
Yeah,
they didn't.
No,
but there was
definitely
this huge juxtaposition that
I mean,
I found, sorry to interrupt,
No,
I
no,
just
it's
want
fine.
to finish, and I am repeating myself, but I just couldn't deal with that. I mean, yes, I can deal with it, but I felt very uncomfortable.
And by contrast, I actually thought that juxtaposition where, you know, 1 minute we are laughing because everybody's been in that situation of you hold the wardrobe and all this sort of thing, and I mean there was a hilarious bit where they went round about putting the nails in the back of it and asking, and he asked me, and because David wanted to put 4 in and it was meant to be 40, Olivia said 47, and Alicia went down the audience, and I think I said I'd only put 4 in, and then you said He's never just put 4 in the back of back of the nails that you put on the back of the wall.
I mean,
so there was that, and then literally the next minute you have this juxtaposition where it's very, very serious and really quite heartbreaking. And I sort of, I mean, although we don't know all the details of that, I mean, how they did that for me was the piece's brilliance to some extent. They weren't ridiculing the war element of it. We don't know all the full details, but I found those parts very, very, very moving. And there's one part, I don't want to say exactly what it was, but there's one part quite close to it where they've got most of the wardrobe built and something happens, and that was particularly moving. You know, and I take your point that for you it was different.
It wasn't so much that, because I did refer to that earlier. It's the war thing. Now maybe for me they were, you know, and I can see the argument that, you know, building an IKEA wardrobe is so trivial compared to what other stuff is going on in. Maybe that was the point, and I accept that. It was just, and I've had time to reflect on it a bit, and I can see that. But anyway, but at the time, I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah, which is fair enough. So, have we said when it's on? So it's on at Greenside,
Riddle's
Court, which is up towards the castle.
The castle.
And it's on at, what's the timings?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock every afternoon until the 10th. So it's not on for very long, really. 2 for 1 days are the 5th and 6th. And its cost is £12 standard price. How many stars?
Well, I'm going to go for 3.
Okay.
But I may have completely missed the point.
Well, yeah. Well, I have to say, because it, you know, I mean, we don't give 5 stars willy-nilly, and for me, it was a wow piece of theatre, you know. Like I said, and although having said, you said you might miss the point, I might have missed the point, but I was going to give it 5. Because I'd almost want to see it again, because
well, I'd like to meet them and say.
I mean, actually,
I would.
And it's also worth mentioning that if any of you go and see this, please drop us a comment. We don't normally ask for this sort of stuff on here, but drop us a comment down below. Tell us what you thought about it, because it is, you know, it clearly. You know, we have got different opinions about this piece, you know. So we'd like to know what other people think about it, really.
And
if you get a chance to see it.
Can I just say, I didn't expect to be having this kind of conversation about a piece that I thought I was going to go and watch people put together an IKEA wardrobe.
You know.
So you know,
it certainly is deeper than just a couple arguing over building a wardrobe, and within that 50 minutes they build a wardrobe.
So having had longer to reflect on it, I would also.
It's definitely worth seeing. Whatever you feel when you come out of it, you know, you won't just think, "Oh, that was bland," because it definitely isn't. It might be that it's Marmite, so you might absolutely love it or absolutely hate it, or just not be sure what you've seen. But anyway, so tell us what you think if you get a chance to see it. And can I just say who the studio, or the theatre company are? It's DNA Studio. I know we've not seen anything from them before. I mean, I think we'll look out for other things. They might be doing other things, actually, because I'd like to see them do something else.
I agree.
Certainly,
I agree.
So thanks so much for watching. We've got 2 more things to see today.
No. Oh yes, sorry, I beg your pardon. Yes, I beg your pardon. Yes, we have.
We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.